knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're an Oreo cookie. White in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro. I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I would slap you.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Welcome to the third hour of the show. Thank you so much for being with me. I have with me Pamela Geller, founder, editor, and publisher of AtlasShrug.com. and executive director of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, and better known as AFDI, and Stop Islamazation of America, SIOA. I love that. She is the author of Stop the Islamazation of America, a practical guide to the resistance. She put up some posters, some ads in they're in New York in some of the train stations, and there are people out there who are trying to destroy those ads. I don't know if you've seen the YouTube video of this. I thought it was very, very interesting. And I couldn't wait to get Pamela on the show to talk about this. Pamela, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, Jesse, thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate you being here. I have to tell you up front, I have much respect for your courage and that you're standing for what is right, despite the opposition against you.
Bless you. Thank you so much for your support.
Yes. Tell the folks first about your organization and its purpose.
Well, the American Freedom Defense Initiative is a human rights organization dedicated to freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of expression, and individual rights. And this ad campaign that went up in New York was in response to an anti-Israel campaign that was running in the New York City subway systems. Back in September of 2011, there was a particularly vicious anti-Israel campaign on the platforms, and so we submitted this ad, which was rejected, and so we had to sue the MTA, the Metropolitan Transit Authority, because they had violated our First Amendment rights. And it took a year, but we triumphed.
Yes.
On all points. It was not even a narrow victory. Not only did we triumph for the First Amendment, but the Judge Engelmeyer ruled that their regulations and their standards were unconstitutional. And mind you, Jesse, in that time that we were suing, a different anti-Israel campaign went up on New York City metro train transit platforms.
Yes.
So there's clearly a bias. You know, there's clearly a content viewpoint censorship. And so the ads went up last Monday. And, of course, it's interesting that hundreds of anti-Israel ads have been running, not just in the city, but across the country.
Yeah.
Not one was defaced or removed or harmed in any way. Our 10 little ads went up on the platforms in New York subway systems, and within an hour, they were all defaced and destroyed, which to me speaks to a much larger picture. I think it's a metaphor for this whole conversation.
Yeah.
Free speech is crushed, it's destroyed. Those that engage in it are smeared and defamed and libeled with names like racism. Jihad is not a race.
Yeah.
And I take particular offense at that egregious. It's a vile epithet to be called, and it's a way of marginalizing the message so that people, listen, this is, racism is abhorrent. And so it renders the message toxic, which is the point of this smear campaign.
Yes. Pamela, I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama. I grew up under this Jim Crow laws and whatever. But when I was growing up, there was great support for Israel. My grandparents and their parents, they supported Israel. It was talked about in the black churches how, Israel. But now there seems to be a lot of anger or non-support for Israel, and I'm not understanding this. Why is this happening?
Well, because the left has been fomenting this anti-Semitic, and it is anti-Semitism. It's the guise of Israel is used as a mask. It's a modern argument to an age-old hate.
Yeah.
And so the left, which has attempted to co-opt much of the dialogue in the black community in America, has made this part of its platform. And so there's a disinformation campaign. I mean, the greatest African-American leaders, Martin Luther King, was a staunch Zionist. Staunch. I quote him frequently, his position on Israel. So clearly Farrakhan does not represent,
Right.
the great black leadership of yesteryear or even today. So I'm not surprised at that. It does dishearten me.
Yeah.
Because people that are oppressed should, there should be sort of an innate understanding. But propaganda is a very powerful thing.
I think also, too, because we now, for the first time in the history of America, we have a president who happens to be black who is not supportive of Israel. I think it has given the liberals even more power or permission to just outwardly go against Israel.
Absolutely. There's just no question about it. The thing is that this ad was a response to anti-Israel ads, but the fact is this is hardly Israel's battle. Yes, like Ethiopia, Israel is on the front line of jihad, but this is the battle for freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this battle being waged in Thailand against the Buddhists. We see this battle being waged in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Bangladesh, in Kashmir, in Chechnya. So this is not merely Israel's battle, and that's I intend as we roll out this campaign to expand that message.
Yeah.
Yes, it must be done because this is not it's not a Jewish thing. It's a freedom versus fascism, a conflict, and we need to educate the people because the media is self-enforcing the Sharia. Under the Sharia, the blasphemy laws, under the Sharia, you cannot criticize Islam. And so the media is self-enforcing this, and they're disarming the American people in what is unquestionably the gravest threat to the security of this nation.
You know, they had a rally last Friday in Detroit, the Muslims did, and I don't know if it was Detroit, but Michigan. And they want to get laws passed where we in America cannot speak out against Islam. We can't disagree with it. And I'm thinking, these people want to take away our freedom of speech. How can they come to this country and demand something like that?
Yes, well, they can because they have the political elites kowtowing to this, it is a legal system. The Sharia is Islamic law. And, under Islamic law, under the Sharia in Muslim countries, blasphemers, anyone who criticizes Islam, are put on trial, and they are sentenced to death like Asia Bibi.
Yeah.
It goes so far. I mean, it's used as retribution. Muslims will use it as retribution. You see a doctor has been arrested for blasphemy because he threw away the business card of a man whose name was Muhammad.
Amazing.
Yes, it is amazing, but it's amazing that we're even entertaining this here. It's amazing that you have the President of the United States standing up before the UN General Assembly saying the future does not belong to those that slander the Prophet of Islam. This is shocking.
It is. I was blown away when I heard him say that. Your ad says, in any war between the civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man, support Israel, defeat jihad. To me, that is so right on. It just, I love it. You're absolutely right about that.
Thank you. Well, listen, any war on innocent civilians is savagery. The targeting of Israel from Gaza, firing tens of thousands of rockets into schools and homes, that's savagery. The brutal, cold-blooded murder of the Fogel family in their beds, the 3-month-old baby was practically decapitated, was savagery.
Yeah.
The blowing up of the bus last month in Bulgaria of Jewish women and children on holiday is savagery.
Mona, let me take a quick... Mona, I'm reading this report here. Pamela, let me take a quick break. We'll come back to you and finish and wind this up. 888-775-3773.
I resolve to call her up 1,000 times a day and ask her if she'll marry me in some old-fashioned way, but my silent fears have gripped me. How can you just leave me standing alone in a world that's so cold? Maybe I'm just too good, maybe I'm just like you know. Maybe I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied.
If the Arabs put down their weapons today, there would be no more violence. If the Jews put down their weapons today, there would be no more Israel. That was from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, of whom I have the utmost respect for. This man is under pressure such that I've never seen before. God bless him. This is from newsbusters.org. Reported that on September 25th, Tuesday of last week, Mona El-Tahawi, CNN and MSNBC pundit, was arrested for spray painting one of Pamela's ad. Mona El-Tahawi was caught on video trying to deface the ad, and I just want to play that soundbite for you before I go back to my guest.
So, Mona, you think you have a right to do this?
I do, actually. I think this is freedom of expression just as this is freedom of
Do you
expression.
really?
I do, yes. And who are you? Who are you?
My name is Pamela.
Okay. Can you get out the way, Pamela?
No.
Oh, you're Pamela Geller.
No?
No, which Pamela are you then?
Tell me, Mona, what
Get out
right
of my way.
do you have to violate free speech?
I'm not
You're
violating it.
and
I'm
you're
making
doing
an
it.
expression on free speech.
No,
if
you're
you don't
not.
want paint on yourself, you should get out
No,
of my
you
way.
cannot. You do not have a right.
I do, actually, and I'm doing it right now. And you should get out of my way. Do you want paint on yourself? Do you really? Okay, fine. Excellent. Defend racism. Defend racism. That's
You
right.
have a lot of nerve.
Put your body between me and
You
racism.
have a lot of nerve,
Oh, yeah.
Mona.
No, I don't have nerve. You know what I have? I have an understanding
You are
of racism.
violating free speech,
I'm
Mona.
not. It's clear. I'm not
You are
violating.
violating free speech.
I am expressing myself freely against hate and racism.
This was an approved ad, Mona.
I really don't care.
Approved
Pamela,
ad, Mona.
I don't care. Are you? You know what? Get
You're
off.
harming me.
Get off. I'm not touching
Mona,
you.
you're harming me.
Are you filming this?
You are spraying
Film
me.
this.
You
Get
are
off
spraying
me.
me with
Get
this.
off me, or I'm gonna go get the police.
Go get the police.
Get
if
off
you
me.
Stop.
My God.
Pamela, I saw this video, compelling video, and had this woman, Mona, been a Christian or the attack was the other way around, MSNBC, CNN, and others would have fired her. It was compelling to see you stand up to this woman.
Well, that was not me. That was someone defending my ad.
Okay.
Who was down there filming the positive responses by subway goers. She was attacked. She was sprayed by this woman. And it's interesting, this woman, Mona El-Tahawi, she was a Reuters correspondent. She was at the revolution in Egypt. She heralded the revolution. As a matter of fact, a couple months later, she was attacked brutally and sexually attacked in Tahrir Square. She called them beasts. So she can call them beasts. But if they're Jew haters, then they're not savages. No, the hypocrisy is astounding.
Amazing. Were there charges pressed against this Mona woman?
Yes, there were. There were charges pressed against her, and I think she's due back in court. She spent the night in jail, happy to report. She deserved it. I mean, she attacked this woman. Free speech, of course she's entitled to her free speech, but she's not entitled to destroy private property. Let her buy an ad and say whatever she wants.
I thought it was amazing that Mona just stood there. This woman saying, "No, you can't do this." Mona insisted on spray painting the sign. She wouldn't walk away.
No, she would not walk away. She insisted on not only destroying the sign, but spraying this woman with a toxic paint.
Yeah. That was mind-blowing to me. What type of responses are you getting? How are people responding to all this?
Well, it's interesting because the media, of course, is, defaming and smearing and, attacking me. But the response from the people has been overwhelming. The emails from the people has been overwhelming. Hundreds and hundreds of emails in support thanking me.
Yeah.
Because no one will have this conversation, Jesse. No one can talk about this because they are, enforcing the Sharia, enforcing the blasphemy laws so as not to criticize Islam. While, literally hundreds of riots across 50 countries, violent riots against freedom. It's not against a YouTube clip.
Yeah.
These are anti-freedom riots. What are we going to do? Are we going to remove every video, every unflattering video that might be critical of Islam from YouTube? And then what? Are we going to burn every book that is unflattering to Islam? No, this is the path that we're on.
I know, and the more we cave into these people, the worse it's going to get for us because they're going to take over even more. So I want to ask, and then I want you to tell us how we can help you. What did you think of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech at the UN?
Listen, I think he's a brilliant and courageous man.
Yeah.
I think it's horrible how Israel is really alone. Why Israel has to be the washerwoman for the world. I mean, it's not. Iran doesn't threaten Israel. I mean, of course she does threaten Israel, but Israel is the aperitif. If everyone thinks that it begins and ends with Israel, then they better put down the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, it's always death to America and it's always death to Israel. It's always America is the big Satan and Israel is the little Satan. Israel is perceived as the proxy for the United States in the Middle East. It only begins with Israel. It would just enormously empower the Islamic supremacist revolution that we see are taking over whole swaths of the Middle East and Northern Africa.
Amazing. In the few minutes that we have left, will we see more of these ads, and how can the people help you?
Well, we are. I'm in the middle right now, as we speak, of buying another campaign that expands this message in New York to test the new rules. It is deliberately to test the new rules.
Yes.
And my free speech. And we're taking this campaign nationwide. All of the donations that come to us, they're all small donations. They're from people across America, $20, $25. That's how we buy. As soon as we get enough money, we buy a city. You can go to my site, atlasshrugs.com. That's Atlas Shrugs, ATLAS, shrugs.com, or PamelaGeller.com. Click to donate. There's a donate on the top right sidebar. You make this happen. This is a campaign by the people. It really is. This is pure grassroots, pure organic, and I have to tell you that it is enormously encouraging how many people in America, who, by the way, are the silent majority, because they're not heard, save for great voices like yours, Jesse, save for talk radio and the internet, the voiceless would be entirely voiceless.
Yes. Well, I thank you for that, but I want to tell you this again. I really admire you. I respect you for what you're doing, and I'm glad to see that you're not afraid of that word racism, because that's what they use against the people who are standing for good. And if you're not afraid of that word, because it's not about racism, and if you're not afraid of that word, they have nothing else to control you with. So I appreciate what you're doing. And anytime you want to come on this show to tell us update us and tell us what's going on, feel free to.
You're a doll, Jesse. God bless you and keep you safe.
Thank you very much, and God bless you as well. Thank you, Pamela.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Okay, folks, we're going to take a break and come back to the calls.